Well, I think you have to be open to opportunities that you might want to pursue. And I think that when the door opens, if it's something you're interested in, you might just have to walk through and figure it out afterwards. And I think that came, as I said earlier, about when you've lost your confidence. But then with sport and with Richmond, because I picked them as my team because when I moved to Richmond, and that was my local team. I didn't know anything about the sport really, but I thought I'll support my community club. And people said to me, "Oh, they used to be good." And I back in the 70s, and I thought, oh, they'll be good again. I didn't know how long it would take to get good again, but I'd always liked sport. Growing up, I loved sport. And so when I moved here to find that there were professional sport within a 10-minute walk of my house, I thought, well, I'll get involved in what Melbourne and most of Australia gets involved in all the time. And I just loved the sport from the beginning. So it was sort of the passion of the community around sport, the idea that it's a collective. And I guess if you're an outsider, you start to think about what are the pathways into your new community. And it turned out to be something I didn't have to work very hard at because I just loved it. So when I was approached about joining the Richmond board, I was already in love with the game, and I was, a very avid fan. And in fact, in high school, I'd like sport all the time growing up. I was voted most school-spirited because I went to everything. Okay. So that gives you an idea. But in small-town America, probably like sort of small-town Australia, sport is a real community center. So when I was asked to join the Richmond board in 2005, I thought, well, this opportunity is not going to keep coming around. And they were determined to bring a woman on the board, which I thought was quite important, especially at that early stages of the development of, diversity and gender equality around board tables. And I thought the worst thing that can happen is you're not very good at it, you don't like it, and you go back to just watching the game. So I thought I'll take it on, and by then I was pretty interested in the business of football. Why are some teams rich, and why do some clubs don't have any money, and how do you build to winning a premiership? How do you select players? What happens to sponsors? Who are the members? Why do some clubs really seem to value and do the right thing by members, others don't? But I just thought, how do you make money at this? And it's a not-for-profit, but you got to have a certain amount of capital. I didn't understand exactly what role the AFL Commission played. So all of that was of interest. And then being a lawyer, I thought governance was really important. And that wasn't something that sporting clubs talked about very much at the time. And I thought, well, maybe that's my role. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, because I certainly can't tell anybody about how to pick a team, but I think I can. I'd worked with boards a lot in my legal role that I could make some contribution that would be valuable around governance and getting things set up, and with committees and that sort of hygiene stuff that you have to do. And if you get it right, everything's easier. And so I went about doing that day to day, helping the president and the rest of the board around that. I thought that's something I can contribute.